The rain tapped steadily on the windshield as Jordan Michaels leaned back in the driver's seat of his truck, eyes flicking between the road ahead and the glowing digital clock on the dashboard. 2:03 a.m. He yawned, rubbing at his eyes. The drive from Chicago to Denver was long, and he still had 6 more hours to go. Long-haul trucking wasn't just his job, it was his way of escaping everything. The divorce. The bills. The deafening silence of an empty apartment, the highway was nearly deserted, the night fog curling across the asphalt like lazy fingers. His headlights sliced through it, casting long shadows of roadside trees that swayed with the wind like whispering ghosts. Jordan reached for his thermos, took a long sip of lukewarm coffee, and turned the volume knob on the radio. Static. He flipped through stations, but it was all white noise and garbled preachers talking about fire and damnation. With a sigh, he turned it off. Silence returned that he rolled down the window a crack, letting the cold air hit his face. It helped a little. Just a little. The humming of the tires against the pavement was hypnotic, lulling him into that dangerous space between awareness and sleep. He slapped his cheek lightly. "Stay with it, man," he muttered to himself. But even as he said it, he couldn't help the slow creep of fatigue dragging down his eyelids. Then he saw it, that a figure, standing on the side of the road. Jordan blinked hard. The man was wearing dark clothes and wasn't waving or signaling, just standing there, arms at his sides, motionless. As the truck roared past, Jordan caught only the briefest glimpse of a pale face. Something about it seemed off. Too still. Like a mannequin. A chill ran down his spine. 30 seconds passed. Then a minute. He shook his head and gave a soft laugh. Probably just some hitchhiker, he told himself. Still, that face. The fog thickened as he drove. 5 minutes later, his headlights illuminated another figure on the roadside. It was the same man. Jordan's hands tightened on the wheel. "What the hell?" he whispered. He drove past, heart pounding now. He looked in the side mirror, no one. No silhouette. Just the empty stretch of highway dissolving behind him. He pressed the gas pedal harder, trying not to look at the trees or the shadows they cast, trying not to think about the pale face. An hour passed, the road stayed empty, dark, and uneventful. Jordan's breathing steadied. Maybe he imagined it. Maybe fatigue was playing tricks on him. Maybe, a thump. He froze, another thump. This time behind him, in the cargo hold. Jordan's truck was empty except for some toolboxes and an extra spare tire. He hadn't picked up a load. He reached for the small window that separated the cab from the cargo area and slid it open. Silence. He strained his ears, then, soft breathing. He snapped back from the window, heart hammering in his chest. "No, no, no," he muttered, pulling the truck onto the shoulder and hitting the hazard lights. Jordan grabbed the flashlight from the glove compartment, stepped out into the cold, and walked around to the back of the truck. His boots crunched on the gravel. He unlocked the latch, hesitated for a second, and flung the doors open. Empty, but the air felt colder. Heavy. Thick. He swung the flashlight around. Nothing. No movement. No figure. No face. But when he turned to climb back into the cab, his heart nearly stopped. The passenger door was open. Jordan stood frozen, eyes fixed on the open door. The cab light inside glowed softly. No movement. But it was open. He never left it open. He forced himself to move forward. Slowly, cautiously, he approached the truck, holding his breath. He peeked inside. No one. But the seatbelt on the passenger side was buckled. His mouth went dry. His trembling fingers reached inside and unbuckled it, tossing it aside. He slammed the door shut, jumped back into the driver's seat, and sped off down the highway. The silence was unbearable now. The kind that screamed in your ears. The wind outside seemed to whisper something he couldn't quite understand. A hum, a sigh, a hush. Jordan refused to look at the passenger seat. He kept his eyes locked forward, hands tight on the steering wheel, but in the periphery of his vision, movement. A hand resting on the seat. No. That couldn't be. He turned his head, just a little. Empty seat. The leather was cold and damp. He turned the heat on full blast, trying to banish the chill from the cab. But the cold lingered. A presence. That was the only word his brain could conjure, asterisk asterisk presence asterisk asterisk. Something was there. Something silent. Watching .at the next rest stop, Jordan pulled in. A single flickering streetlight buzzed overhead. The small building had a restroom and vending machines. A man in a yellow jacket leaned against the wall, smoking. Jordan got out and walked toward the restroom, needing a moment, needing to breathe. Rough night, the man asked. Jordan nodded. Yeah. You could say that. The man took a long drag and exhaled slowly. You heading west? Jordan glanced at him. Yeah. Denver. The man's eyes narrowed. Be careful. This stretch of highway, not everything you see is real. Jordan felt his stomach twist. What do you mean? But the man just dropped the cigarette and crushed it under his boot. Some passengers don't speak. Doesn't mean they aren't there. He turned and walked into the darkness behind the building. Jordan stood there, heart pounding again, unsure if he just heard a warning or a threat. When he returned to his truck, the passenger door was open again. No, he hadn't left it open. The seatbelt was buckled once more. This time, he closed it slowly, carefully. He sat behind the wheel, glanced at the seat next to him, and for just a split second, he saw him. The pale man. Still. Silent. Watching, then he was gone. Jordan put the truck in gear and didn't stop again until sunrise. Morning light did little to calm Jordan's nerves. The empty plains stretched on either side of the highway, bathed in a gray-yellow glow. Fields of frost glistened like tiny mirrors, but his world remained dull and tense. Every shadow along the shoulder of the road looked like it might spring to life. He didn't dare look at the passenger seat anymore. He couldn't. Denver was still hours away. At 7:42 a.m., Jordan pulled into a roadside diner called May's Place, hoping food and noise might reset his mind. The bell above the door jingled when he stepped in. The smell of bacon and coffee hit him like a wave, comforting and heavy. A few truckers sat at the counter. A couple of locals occupied a booth near the window. A waitress with tired eyes and a friendly smile approached. Long night, she asked, pouring him coffee before he even sat down. Something like that, Jordan muttered, sliding into a booth. Just trying to stay awake. She nodded sympathetically. This stretch of road's notorious for strange things. You see anything weird? Jordan paused, cup halfway to his lips. Why would you say that? The waitress gave a shrug that wasn't really a shrug, more like a guarded pull of the shoulders. Just stories. Some drivers say they see the same hitchhiker over and over again. Others hear things in their trucks. One guy swore someone was in his sleeper with him all night, breathing. Jordan stared. The waitress forced a smile and refilled another customer's coffee. Don't let it get to you. Probably just tiredness. Minds do funny things when they're running on fumes. But Jordan wasn't tired anymore. He was wide awake. That he ate in silence, eyes occasionally drifting to the window where his truck waited like a sleeping beast. Part of him expected to see the passenger door slowly open again. But it didn't. Nothing moved. Just wind and cold and morning light. As he paid at the register, he asked, has anyone ever not made it through this road? The woman behind the counter looked at him for a long moment, then said, sometimes the road takes people. Sometimes it gives them back. The words haunted him as he got back into the truck. That he didn't look at the passenger seat. He didn't need to. The seatbelt was fastened. He drove in silence. Music didn't help. Podcasts felt pointless. His mind kept returning to that pale face. No expression. No emotion. Just presence. At 10:03 a.m., as he passed an old, rusted gas station, he saw him again, standing in the middle of the lot, still, watching. Jordan drove faster. Soon he found himself in a remote part of the highway. No cars. No signs of life. Even the radio gave up, static returned. He leaned forward, jaw tight, scanning the road ahead like something was about to leap out. It was then he noticed the rearview mirror. There was something wrong with it. The image was distorted, like heat waves over pavement. Blurry. But even through the blur, he could see something in the back seat. A shape. Small. Curled that he glanced over his shoulder, empty, but when he looked in the mirror again, still there that he gripped the wheel tighter and let out a shaky breath. It's not real, he whispered. It's just stress. But the weight of that gaze never left him. Not for a second that he pulled over, his hands shook as he opened the back of the cab, flashlight in hand, empty again, until he saw the handprint dot on the inside of the window, small. Child-sized. Pressed into the condensation like a goodbye, Jordan stumbled back, heart racing. No. He slammed the door shut and locked it. Climbed back into the cab. And this time, he didn't drive that, he just sat there, staring straight ahead, like if he moved, it would make everything worse. Then the radio clicked on by itself, through the static came a voice, faint. Whispering, ***, you left me. Jordan's skin crawled. He reached to turn the dial, but it wouldn't budge, ***, you forgot me. The voice again. Female this time. Younger, then static, then silence, then his own voice, faint and distorted, playing back from the speakers ***, stay with it, man. He yanked the radio power cord from the dashboard, darkness, but in the quiet that followed, Jordan began to remember, that stretch of road. The fog. The blizzard 2 years ago, the crash that he'd never talked about it. Never told anyone. Not even his ex-wife, the little girl on the side of the road. Standing. Lost. Frightened that he hadn't stopped, that he had kept driving, because he was tired. Because he was behind schedule. Because he thought she'd be okay, because he thought someone else would help. She wasn't there the next day. A missing person report. A photo. A name, Anna Vicks. Age, 9, ***, he hadn't stopped, and now he couldn't stop remembering. Jordan clenched his jaw and looked into the mirror. The shape was clearer now. That a little girl, curled up, watching him with hollow eyes. That he turned to face her. The back seat was empty, but the cold remained. That he knew what he had to do. That he started driving again. Not to Denver. Not to his next job. That he drove back to the stretch of road where he first saw her. The fog was returning now, curling over the asphalt like ghosts dancing. That he slowed, and there she was, standing in the middle of the road. Jordan stopped the truck. That he opened the door, stepped out. She didn't move, her dress was torn, her feet bare and muddy. Her eyes were bottomless wells of sadness. That he knelt. I'm sorry, he whispered. I should have stopped. I should have helped you. The girl tilted her head, eyes unblinking. I see you now, he said. She stepped forward, and vanished, not into the air, into him. Jordan fell backward, breath catching in his throat, then silence. When he opened his eyes, the fog was gone, the road was empty, the truck door was closed, the seatbelt on the passenger side, unbuckled. For the first time in hours, the air felt warm. That he started the truck, and drove. The sun had climbed high above the horizon, but Jordan felt no warmth from it. The road was dry, clear, and open, yet every mile he drove felt heavier than the last. As if something clung to him now, like fog that wouldn't lift. That he didn't stop. Not for food. Not for gas. Not even when the warning light blinked on. His eyes remained fixed ahead, but his mind was a storm of memory and dread. He kept seeing Anna's eyes, dark, endless, forgiving and damning at once. Had she forgiven him? Had she accepted him? Was she gone, or had she simply gotten in the truck? Jordan didn't want to know. Hours passed. At some point, he realized he'd missed his original destination by almost 80 miles. He was deep into backroads now, weaving through pine-covered hills, miles from anywhere. The GPS had lost signal 2 hours ago. He didn't care that he was following something else now. That a pull. That it wasn't until his gas tank hit empty and the truck coasted to a halt that he truly looked around. That a narrow, gravel road stretched out behind him, vanishing into trees. Ahead, a crooked wooden sign stood tilted in the brush, Whistler's Hollow, population 93, he'd never heard of it. Didn't remember seeing it on any map, but there it was. He opened the door, stepped out, and listened. Silence, even the birds were quiet. As he walked up the gravel road, the trees seemed to grow denser. Closer. Watching, the town came into view suddenly, just a small cluster of old wooden houses, a church with a leaning steeple, and what looked like an abandoned general store. Curtains twitched in upper windows, but he saw no people. No dogs. No movement that he stepped into the middle of the main street, unsure what he was doing here. Then he saw the little girl again, standing in front of the church. She wasn't alone this time, more children stood with her, silent, watching, all of them pale, all of them barefoot. One boy had a toy truck clutched in both hands. Another girl held a one-eyed teddy bear. Their clothes were outdated, dresses and shirts from another time. Jordan backed up. "No," he whispered. "This isn't real." Then a bell rang, not the church bell, a small hand bell. From behind him he spun around. An old woman stood on a porch nearby, her eyes gray and cloudy, her skin papery and sagging. She rang the bell again, slow and steady. "You've brought her back," she said softly. Jordan didn't respond. "You gave her a ride," the old woman continued. "You stopped. Not many do." "I didn't mean to," he said. "No one ever does." She stepped down the stairs, slowly, leaning on a cane that looked like it belonged in a museum. "She came from this place," the woman said. "So did the others. All lost. All forgotten. Their stories don't reach the news anymore. But they remember." Jordan looked around again. More children were appearing now. In doorways. In windows. They didn't blink. "You brought her home," the woman said. "That was kind." He wanted to leave, but something inside him whispered, "You're not done yet." The woman pointed toward the church. "She's waiting." Jordan didn't want to go. But his feet moved anyway. The church doors creaked open on their own. Inside, it was dark. Dust motes floated in narrow sunbeams. The pews were warped and crumbling. The altar was cracked. But at the very front, Anna stood. He approached. "I'm sorry," he said again, voice shaking. She looked up at him. For the first time, her lips moved. "Not enough," she whispered. The doors slammed shut behind him. Darkness swallowed the room. He turned, running back. But the exit was gone. In its place, a wall. He spun around. Anna was gone, but someone else stood there now, the pale man, the same one from the road, now closer. His eyes were dark holes. His mouth slowly stretched into a smile, and when he opened it, dozens of children's voices came spilling out, layered over one another. ***, you left us. You kept driving. We were cold. We waited. You never stopped." Jordan fell to his knees, covering his ears. "I'm sorry. I didn't know." The man stepped forward. One hand reached out, touched Jordan's shoulder, and everything went black. When he awoke, it was night again. He was in the driver's seat, engine running, radio playing softly. The road ahead was empty. Denver, 73 miles. The passenger seat was empty, unbuckled. Jordan sat still for a long time. Then he looked at his reflection in the rearview mirror. Something about his eyes looked darker. He turned the radio off, rolled up the window, and started driving again. This time, not for delivery, not for a deadline. He was driving because something told him to. A whisper in his ear. A sigh on the wind. A silent passenger who was no longer silent. The road ahead was smooth again, but the hum of the tires no longer comforted him. Jordan felt like a puppet in his own body, as though he was steering the wheel, but something else had taken over the destination. The GPS had come back online, yet it didn't show a road. Just a black line tracing a path through nowhere, as if the device itself had given up understanding where he was. He didn't know how long he'd been driving. Minutes, hours, days. Time had begun to warp, folding in on itself. The sun rose and set within minutes. He blinked once and it was morning. Blinked again, and it was pitch black night. His hands were cracked and dry. His beard had grown. His nails were longer. Was he even alive anymore? Jordan tried to remember his name. Not just say it, remember it. The feel of it. The weight, but even that felt distant. At some point, signs appeared again. Handmade ones. Crooked. Scratched wood, welcome, traveler, turn back while you can, every seat is taken, each one stood along the road like gravestones. He didn't stop. He couldn't. Then, a light appeared in the distance, not a town, not headlights, just a single flickering street lamp at a crossroad. Below it stood a gas station, half collapsed and covered in ivy, the sign above barely readable. Last stop fuel and fare. His fuel gauge was still at 0, but the truck kept going. As if it was feeding on something else now. Still, he pulled in, because he had to, because the passenger was silent again, and that was worse than when it spoke. Jordan stepped out of the truck, the gravel crunching beneath his boots like brittle bones. The gas station doors creaked open as he approached, though no wind blew. Inside, it smelled of dust and rot. Shelves were empty. The soda machine was dead. A single light buzzed overhead, flickering like a heartbeat. Behind the counter stood a man, tall, thin, his face was long, with eyes too deep and mouth too narrow. He smiled without warmth. "You've come far," the man said. "I don't know where I'm going," Jordan muttered. "No one ever does." "Who are you?" The man tilted his head. "I'm the one who watches the doors. Some open. Some close. Some," he leaned forward, "never stop swinging." Jordan took a step back. "You let her in," the man continued. "That was your price." Jordan felt a lump in his throat. "What does that mean?" "It means the road remembers." He reached beneath the counter and slid something across. A mirror, small. Handheld. Cracked. Jordan picked it up slowly, hesitantly, and looked into it. His face was, not his face, sunken. Pale. Eyes like glass. Behind him, in the reflection, sat Anna, smiling. "I want out," Jordan whispered. The man behind the counter didn't blink. "No one gets out. You don't drive the truck anymore. It drives you." Jordan dropped the mirror. It shattered, and from every piece, a reflection of himself stared back, screaming. That he stumbled outside. The truck's door was open again. That he didn't remember doing that. That he climbed in anyway. The passenger seat was full. Anna sat there, hands folded neatly in her lap, staring ahead with eyes like dark wells. "You're not real," Jordan whispered. She turned her head, smiled, and whispered back, "Neither are you." Somewhere behind him, the road began to fall apart. The gas station crumbled. The crossroad light went out with a sharp snap, and ahead, only night. Jordan drove through it, but now the world didn't look like a world anymore. The trees were twisted shapes, all reaching, clawing. The moon hung too low, too bright, too red. The stars were gone. The sky was cracked. That he passed another truck, identical to his, the driver inside, himself, but bloodied, tied to the wheel, mouth sewn shut. Jordan screamed, but no sound came out. Anna looked at him. "This is where you live now." "No." He slammed the brakes. The truck didn't stop. That he opened the door mid-motion and jumped, rolled across cold pavement, groaned. When he stood up, the truck was gone. The